Hello, amazing women. Good to see you again on this lovely Thursday. It's raining here in the Bay Area, which is pretty exciting because of all the fires that we've had recently. But yeah, I just want to chat with you all and about actually a really important topic, especially for this group, which is the 4 attachment styles. So there's a lot of people think there's 3 attachment styles. There's actually 4. And one of the most common attachment styles that I'll talk about first is the anxious attachment style, which that would be someone who is preoccupied with relationships or who might get jealous or has a strong fear of abandonment. You might be more anxiously attached if you fear that your partner may leave you, or if you have a hard time speaking your needs in relationship, or if you feel like you're not enough or not worthy of love. These are all signs that you may have insecure attachment, or insecure is kind of the umbrella for all the attachment styles that are not secure. So you may have, that might be a sign that you're anxiously attached, right? All of these symptoms of jealousy, fear of abandonment, being preoccupied, being worried about the connection. Maybe, the person that you're relating with is actually, showing up in a really great way, but you're still having a lot of anxiety come up, and those fears of, is this person going to be there for me? Are they going to leave me? Can I really count on them, right? And so when one has anxious attachment style, it means that as a child, there was an inconsistent caregiving. So your parent was there and then they weren't there. So sometimes they were there for you and then sometimes they weren't there for you. And so when that happens, then our attachment system gets wired in a particular way, right? And it gets wired in this way where we, again, fear abandonment, where we fear, where we have jealousy fears, and where we have a hard time just really settling into a relationship and feeling safe. And okay, so that's anxious attachment. So please write in the comments as you're listening if you relate to one of these attachment styles, or 2 or 3 or 4. So we're all a combination of these 4 attachment styles, but we always have one that predominates. We always have one that's strongest, 1 or 2 that's strongest. You could have equally, anxious and equally secure, or equally anxious and equally disorganized. So there's always 1 or 2 that predominates. And so it's really helpful to understand we can only shift something, we can only heal something, we can only change something, we can only transform something when we actually understand what is true about our attachment, what is true about the way we relate, what is true about the way that we interact with others. So the second style I'm going to talk about is avoidant attachment, right? So avoidant and anxious attachment is the hardest in relationship if one person is the highest in avoidant and one person is the highest in anxious. And so it can be very, very challenging if they're, especially the more extreme you are on both of those spectrums. If one person's super avoidant, one person's super anxious, it can be incredibly, incredibly challenging. So with the avoidant attachment style, it's usually that one feels kind of overwhelmed in relationships. And so your nervous system might have to manage the intimacy because it just feels so overwhelming to have that much intimacy. And so you may employ distancing strategies like, not calling the person back for a couple of days, or not communicating what you're really feeling, or being mean, or what are some other controlling the sex. So there's all these distancing strategies that one can employ when they have this attachment style that helps kind of lower their arousal in their nervous system so they can feel more calm. And so when you have avoidant attachment, it's so, just like anxious, it's so important to really heal it at its core. and really do the deep healing work necessary to heal this attachment as much as possible so that you can have a secure relationship, so you can be as secure as possible in a relationship. So, so these are the people that may feel, if you identify with this, you may, feel really like you want a relationship and you long for a relationship, but then once you actually get into the relationship, once the honeymoon period is over, it may be hard for you to sustain the relationship, or it may be hard for you to stay because you may start to criticize the person that you're with. You may start to really hyper analyze and focus on the negative traits of your partner, which is also, I forgot to say, one of the most common distancing strategies I see. So, which is, let me just focus on the one imperfection about my partner and then make that a reason why I shouldn't be with them. So when we hyper focus, it can really cause a lot of distance and lack of intimacy and a lot of distance in relationships. So if you, again, feel like you're mostly anxious and then you get with someone who's mostly avoidant, what happens is it becomes this push and pull. The anxious wants more contact, needs more connection, needs more intimacy, and the avoidant gets overwhelmed and wants to push away. And the avoidance childhood was more either enmeshment trauma, which is their parent or caregiver was too needy and needed too much attention and protection and caregiving. The caregiver needed that, right? The parent needed that from the child. And so therefore the child was used in a way. And so the child didn't really feel met by their parent in childhood. The child felt used. The child felt like their true self was not acceptable or accepted. The child felt they had to do or be something in order to be loved. So similar to the anxious, where there was a feeling of, I have to perform, or I have to do something, or I have to give something in order to really get the sustenance and love that I need. The other option for an avoidant in terms of the childhood causation is that the avoidance parents as a child were neglectful. So what happens is the child learns that I can't really get my needs met from this relationship, and so therefore I need to disconnect from my needs and feelings, and I need to not rely on others. So you may, if you identify with the avoidant, you may be very self-reliant because it has become a long time ago, unconsciously, you made the choice that you just can't rely on others. And so it's just not safe. It's just not safe. Okay, so think about, which do you resonate with the most? We want to kind of get clarity. And please, if you're watching now or if you're watching in the replay, please write which style you resonate with the most. And then the next one, that is the one that's not as commonly talked about, is disorganized. So in the disorganized attachment style, it's basically a half anxious and half avoidant. That's the disorganized attachment style, or another word for it is the traumatized attachment style. So this is where growing up, you might have had, you or this person you're dating or anyone that you think of that might have this, they growing up had abuse in childhood. So either they were abused, it's not necessarily abuse, but this is a big category of causation, which is either you had abuse or there was abuse going on around you. Your parents were fighting, there was emotional abuse, physical abuse. And so that meant that your source of love, your primary caregiver, your source of love was also your source of panic and fear, because you didn't know when they were going to attack next, right? And so that's why your nervous system, when someone's loving, may push the person away or may just feel a lot of arousal, a lot of fear, a lot of, feelings, and so may do some of the distancing strategies when this person that you love gets close. And so if you're in a relationship with someone disorganized, it can be very confusing, because on the one hand, they can be so loving, you know, or you can be so loving if you have this attachment style. And then on the other hand, there can be a lot of distancing that can feel very, very painful, because when this person, or when you get kind of really close, it in the system, it literally means like, I might die, right? So it can become, this one is, again, so important to do the healing work, to do the work around this, so you can become more secure. So that, because unfortunately, when we have these attachment styles, we can do things in relationships that can sabotage the relationship, that can hurt the other, that can hurt the relationship over and over and over again. And so what I've found through my own personal journey through this, having, you know, come from both, having, you know, basically what I've come from is the highest in the anxious attachment style, and really doing the healing work to really heal that part and to become more secure, to learn how to communicate my needs and feelings, to feel safe in a relationship, to trust someone, all of those things. I did that healing work, and that has helped me immensely be able to be the partner that I am now, that I wasn't able to be 10 years ago, right? So yeah, so it's amazing how powerful it is when we do the work of transformation, and what we're able to attract as a result, what we're able to receive as a result, what kind of partner we're able to receive when we actually do the deeper healing work to let go of whatever blocks to love, whether it's the trauma, whether it's the abuse, whether it's the you know, just distancing, whether it's the feeling really anxious and texting too much, whatever these behaviors and symptoms are. When we get to the root cause of those behaviors and symptoms, and we heal them, and we learn new ways of being, then we can become more securely attached ourselves, right? And we can also, you know, again, now, and also we can find people who can be securely attached towards us. So there's something I want to say around, so that's the fourth attachment style. So I want to go into that real quick. So securely attached, which is the more you do your healing work, the more you do your healing work, the more that you learn what it looks like and feels like to be a healthy, secure person in a relationship. The more that you do that work, the more you become securely attached, and the more you can trust in yourself, the more you can trust in your partner, the more you can leave a relationship if it's not the right fit, the more you can be consistent, reliable, and loving towards your partner, the more you can speak your needs in relationship, the more you can truly value yourself, the more you can truly value your partner, the more you can not get hung up in the old strategies, the old behaviors, the old destructive ways of being that might have pushed people away in the past, right? I can't tell you how many times I have pushed people away, probably unconsciously, by the behaviors that didn't serve me, by the ways of being that were not healthy, they were destructive, right? So and so it's so powerful to learn how to communicate in a healthy way, to learn how to speak our boundaries with ease, to learn how to really rewire what this group is about, to rewire your nervous system, to rewire your attachment system for lasting love. And so I just want to say it's completely possible to do that. And we always have, nobody's perfect, right? I still have parts of me that I still work with that are anxious, that I still am doing healing work on, because I am not perfect, just like you are not perfect, right? And things come up, and I continue to do the work, because that is how one evolves and grows and reaches their dreams, whether it's career, relationship, you know, health, etc., right? We're continual kind of people in evolution. That's what I believe. So I just want to say that if you resonate with any of these attachment styles that might might be really causing a lot of pain in your relationships, whether it's the disorganized, the avoidant, the anxious, you know, maybe that's one of your highest styles. I highly recommend, you know, doing the deep healing work. And I would love to be the one to help you with that. And that's what I specialize in, is helping you really heal these deep, deep attachment wounds so that you can act in a secure way, so that you can feel deeply secure in your body, so that you can have a healthy, loving partner. So, and so that you can attract a healthy, loving partner. So I'm going to write in the chat box, if you're interested in signing up for a love breakthrough session with me or a member of my team, then you can fill out the application and sign up. And we will talk about on that call how you can shift these patterns on a deep, deep level. And, you know, the results that I have with my clients are really, really amazing. And I am so, so proud, because this is something that, again, not only affects you, but it affects not only affects your partner or your dating partner or the partner you're calling in, but it affects all your relationships with your kids, your parents, your colleagues, right? So it's like all of these different relationships. This is going to affect your health. This affects your health so much. When we do this deep healing work, when we do this deep trauma work, when we rewire, when we create new behaviors and new patterns, it all affects everything. So it's just been so fun to chat with you all. If you have any questions before I go, please write them in the chat box right now. And then I'm gonna have to scoot out. But I will be back next Thursday at the same time, 1:30 p.m. PST. And I'm just so excited about this work, and would so love to help you dive deeper into